all right, everyone. Hello, I have Ronnie here with me, and I would like to start this interview with having you introduce yourself to our audience.
Sure. My name is Ronnie Burt. I live in Austin, Texas.
I see.
And I work for a company called InkSub.
Okay.
And we have a few different services. WPMU Dev.
Mm-hmm.
So we're known for plugins and tools for agencies and freelancers that have a lot of sites.
Right.
And we have WordPress and EduBlogs.
Mm-hmm.
And those two, the education services, are ones that I work most closely with.
Okay.
And I also work across WPMU Dev in different ways too.
Perfect. So how did you get into WordPress, or how? Yeah.
Yeah, I started 11 years ago. I was a teacher.
Okay.
So I taught math in Mexico
Wow.
and in the U.S. And I was looking for a way of building websites for my school and also for me to use as a teacher to help for my students.
Oh, that is amazing.
So I started actually in Joomla,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not really a developer, but I did my best.
Yes.
And so started a few things, and then I became a customer actually of WPMU Dev. And right when I started with WordPress to help me build what it is that I was looking to do.
Right.
And then 6 months, a year after that, WPMU Dev had a job opening, and
Wow.
luckily I've been there ever since, about 9 years.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, what a different way to get, connected and switch your careers.
Yeah, completely.
Right? Yeah.
I thought I was going to be a teacher or
your
something.
whole
Yeah.
life. Yeah. Oh, wow, that's interesting. So I know that, before this interview started rolling in, we were talking about WordPress, and I think, if you don't mind, if you can elaborate on that for our audience, because that is very...
with WordPress, we provide WordPress services and hosting for schools around the world. So we have schools in, 35 countries or something that we work with, and universities. So as young as, preschools all the way up through big prestigious universities around the world.
Wow.
And so they often come to us. Usually they're using WordPress already. Mm-hmm. They might be hosting it themselves, or someone, is familiar with it as it's grown. But then we help them use it even better.
Oh, that's amazing. So how did this WordPress idea came to? Because it seems like I see a little bit of correlation, like you being a teacher.
So our founder, James Farmer, was also an educator. And he was mostly similar story. He was using WordPress himself and was a blogger about education and used some different tools and stuck with WordPress before WordPress was WordPress.
I see.
Right?
Yes.
And EduBlogs is actually our first service, or James's first service, and it launched and had users before WordPress.com did. So it's been around a while.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So in which way do you help these nonprofits or the organization in preschools? Like
so we've been there. We understand what it is that they need, and we know, first of all, economics is different for public organizations or for schools, right?
Yes.
So the EduBlogs platform is mostly free, and we do things like keep it safe for kids, content filtering and not letting just anybody publish, and there's a lot of privacy tools on top to keep sites private. So that's when kids themselves are using WordPress.
Wow.
And then on the other side, we also do services for schools that want to have a really solid website, or universities that want to have a nice website.
Right.
As when we started, WordPress was a blogging tool.
Yes.
Right? And now it's the CMS of a third of the web.
Yes.
And so we've morphed and changed. So we still have the learning side, but we also have we're really known for multi-site and scale of multi-site, and making it fast and easy to use.
Right. Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So, WordPress, I know it's overcoming sort of, I know that it was, used as a blogging tool, and now it has come so far. Where do you think that it's going to go in the next, couple of years, let's say 5 years?
If you would have asked a couple of years ago, it seemed like all the conversations were around it being just a publishing platform, mobile, an application framework for anything. And I think there's still a lot of truth to that.
Yeah.
But the focus, I think, is still back on, in the very beginning, and I completely support this and want to see this, that just anyone can publish quality content, have their sales, their marketing, but also their personal thoughts or whatever, right? We all subscribe to so many social media platforms.
Yes.
Well, they have our data, they have our content.
Yes. Yeah.
Ooh, I like to own my data and my content. And so WordPress focusing on that and being the tool for that, it fits nicely with why schools like to use WordPress, right? And why NGOs, nonprofits, governments, it kind of comes to who owns the data,
right?
Not some proprietary system.
Yes.
So I think that 5 years from now, WordPress is just doing that better. We have Gutenberg,
Yes.
bringing along,
Yes.
refreshing and renewing the content creation aspect. And so I think that's what is just going to be better.
That's wonderful. So I know you touched on this a little bit, but you said you gave a talk. Can you tell us what the topic of the talk was and what is the gist that the viewers
so the talk was called Democratizing Education.
Okay.
Because that's kind of a mantra of WordPress, is democratizing publishing.
Okay.
So I use that word mostly because it kind of fits and resonates with the WordPress community. But I focused really on 3 areas that the WordPress community can do better, that we're already doing. And the first one was data privacy, which is what I've kind of already talked a little bit about, that we have really good new tools in WordPress core over the last year or 2, thanks to GDPR here in Europe, and all the work there. But not every plugin developer is using those hooks and those filters and those tools.
Right.
And so we have to do better. So I touched on that.
Okay.
I touched on data exportability and why page builders and some plugins, anything shortcode based, that data is not really exportable or useful elsewhere.
I see.
And that's really important to schools.
Okay.
It's really important to, to a lot of folks, that they don't want to be locked into something.
Right.
And the last is potentially the most important, is accessibility.
Okay.
Because that's really where historically the focus of accessibility on the web started with schools or in universities, higher ed. And so I touched on that we're doing better. WordPress is doing better. Matt kind of mentioned it in his talk yesterday. Okay. There was a question about it at the end. And so I just tried to rally the troops to do even better, because that's important.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
And I think awareness and just having the conversations is the most important thing we can do.
I agree. That's wonderful. So I'll switch to a little personal question.
Okay.
So if I were to call one of your students up, and say, describe Matt for me with 3 sentences or something, what do you think he would say? He or she?
Yeah. No, they would say. Depended on what grade they made in the class, how they did.
Yeah.
No, they would say that I was. I would try to be untraditional. So try to switch it up. Every day was a little different.
Right.
I hope that they would say that I was challenging.
Okay.
That I would not ever tell them the answer that they were looking for, but I would try to help them
get to the answer.
First ask the right questions and then get to the answer.
Right.
And then that I was, I still know a lot of them, which is really nice.
Yeah.
And thanks to the internet and social media, right? I don't think I would have this opportunity if I had taught 50 years ago and then moved around. Right. So that I really got to know them.
Yeah. No, that's I could imagine that some of the I wouldn't know what they would exactly say, but in talking to you, you do have that switchability, challenges, and I think you adapt to things very easily. Because you've done that, right? Like from a school teacher to going and doing a lot of different things. I think it takes a lot of
but I also really enjoy not doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah,
so I seek that out.
Yeah. No, thank you very much for this time and coming to talk to us.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, good luck.
Don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit that bell icon to get notified every time we upload a new video.